Hello, everybody. This is Paul Adams. Thank you for joining me again in this episode of News Dive. This is Tuesday, January 14th, and we're going to slowly take into account here some of the stories that are happening. I'm very active on Twitter, as you can see here. Uh, my record shows over 1,100 tweets. 293,000 impressions. And so I take a look at all the different news, and I also create memes to reply to certain people, like Donald Trump. Here's one meme I created that has garnered a lot of impressions. This is a little app that I use to create this meme. Um, as you know, Trump's fate rests with McConnell in this impeachment trial. We know that McConnell has made some kind of a deal with Donald Trump. We don't know exactly what that deal is, but uh, it directly contradicts his oath of impartiality and of upholding the Constitution at all costs. This is another meme I created. Here we see the perfect conversation between Trump and McConnell. Trump says to him, "You acquit me or else." And McConnell responds promptly, "You have my word." The Senate trial likely is to start next week sometime after Pelosi ends the impeachment impasse. It'll likely begin January 21st, a week from now, according to Senator John Cornyn. And according to a poll, Quinnipiac poll, 66% want to see Bolton testify in the Senate impeachment trial. Now, Rand Paul made this statement. He says, calling for some while blocking others. If we're going to give a platform to witnesses the Dems demand, I look forward to forcing votes to call Hunter Biden and many more. Well, we're not really putting Hunter Biden or Joe Biden on trial here. This should be a different trial altogether. What we are trying here is Donald Trump and his actions, his calls for foreign powers like China and Ukraine to intervene on his behalf so that he can win the election. The impeachment here is not just about Ukraine, it's about a president who thinks he does not even have to submit to a constitutionally authorized congressional inquiry. This is an opinion from George Conway. Somebody asked, can the Chief Justice John Roberts order witnesses to testify even if Senator McConnell disagrees? The answer is yes, Chief Justice Roberts can and I think should overrule the majority if he has to. The Constitution tells us that the Chief Justice shall preside. So, somebody opined, if this happens and Bolton is called, Trump will exert executive privilege, not to be confused with executive time, to block him from talking about their direct conversations. When you block a witness, you sure do make yourself look guilty. Would you not agree? I mean, in any court of law, if you are to block a witness that is to testify against you, you are essentially condemning yourself. Somebody wants this. He says, as a U.S. citizen and constituent, I expect Congress to hold Donald Trump accountable for high crimes and misdemeanors. I hereby demand you vote yes to impeach and remove or ask Trump to resign. This is the angst that we're feeling here with a lot of people, both on the left and on the right. We are slowly starting to realize that Trump is not all that he was cut out to be. A fair impeachment. That is, one that considers all the facts and gives the senators all the information. That means relevant witnesses. That means relevant documents. That means the truth. Without these things, a Senate trial would become a farce. How can you disagree with that? And then we hear that Trump demands that the Senate not hold his impeachment trial in a tweet, of course, no less. And this individual says, as much as you want to be Trump, you're not a king. This is what Trump thinks he is. He thinks he is above the law. He has no notion of what the Constitution entails when it comes to an impeachment hearing. He has absolutely no credibility at this point as a president. Now, we see here that, according to the GOP leadership, there aren't, there are not 51 votes to dismiss Trump articles of impeachment. In other words, the Senate cannot have enough votes to say to the House, we can dismiss this impeachment hearing. There are not enough votes. That tells you something. That tells you something. And now, in some international news, just tidbits, the Chinese Navy has commissioned Asia's largest missile cruiser. Why is that significant? Well, it's significant because China, Russia, and Iran just held joint naval exercises. Also, recently, Putin, who was spooked by Trump almost starting World War III, he held war drills with hypersonic missiles in the Black Sea. Not supersonic, hypersonic. And the latest is aircraft strikes Iranian militias in Syria. This is an ongoing, recurring theme with Israel. They are unidentified, as though we don't know who did it. This is the kind of duplicity and subterfuge that we see all the time. In the Far East, Moon says it's early to be pessimistic about dialogue with North Korea. I don't even know why that is now an issue. I mean, North Korea and South Korea were in very good terms at one point. They were hugging and kissing, and now they can't even talk. Okay. South China Morning Post says that China's huge U.S. trade war deal commitments are confirmed. Sources confirm that China has committed to making large-scale purchases of $200 billion worth of American goods as part of the Phase 1 trade deal. The purchases target manufactured goods of around $75 billion, with China also committing to buy huge amounts of energy, agriculture, and services. Well, that bodes well. Let's see if it works. Moving on to Iran now. This is a meme that was found in Renz.com. As you can see here, the stipulation is that behind it all is Israel. I mean, this is a very well-known fact that the United States is essentially doing Israel's bidding here. It's no mystery. It should be not rocket science for anybody. Here's why Trump tipped Israel off to Soleimani strike. They helped with intel. Israel helped with the intelligence. I mean, they don't just sit back there and do nothing. And let's not confuse Zionism with Judaism, and I'm going to get back to that later on. This is about a warlike, aggressive state, the Zionist state, that seeks basically to rule the area with its Greater Israel Project, and it uses every alibi, every ally, every contorted lie to further its agenda. It's as simple as that. Ron Paul says U.S. wants to own Iran like it did when the Shah was in power. This is exactly what we're facing here. We're facing a colonialist, imperialistic agenda that wants the resources, that wants a puppet inside Iran to do the West's bidding. There's news now that Trump has authorized the Soleimani killings 7 months ago with conditions. This is something that is coming to fore. Trump now defends killing of Soleimani regardless of imminent threats. He just says that he had a horrible past, whatever that means. Well, he was killing ISIS. He was getting rid of ISIS, and now ISIS, they love the fact that Soleimani is gone. Then we have this switcheroo again with Trump. We have a switcheroo with Trump and 180. Trump says it doesn't matter if Soleimani posed an imminent threat. Well, which is it? Again, Trump is known for his flip-flopping, for his contradicting statements, and the story changes again. Pompeo and Barr said Monday killing Soleimani was part of a larger strategy of deterrence, a shift from the rationale the strike was to prevent an imminent attack. Oh, so it wasn't the four embassies that were under threat, as they claimed. Now it was a strategy of deterrence, right? That's also now we see that the Danish TV station has shown there's extensive damage from Iran strikes, much greater than the U.S. admits. And Trump voices his support for Iranian protesters in Persian, in Farsi. What a farce. I mean, really. As if we're supposed to believe Trump that he's supporting the people of Iran. All he wants is their oil. Now, according to Jake Morphonius, CIA agents have been working with the exiled Iranians to organize street protests in Iran with support from Israel and financing from Saudi Arabia. They are using the same blueprint as the CIA orchestrated 2014 Maidan Square styles protests to instigate an Iranian coup. This is the narrative that the deep state is trying to sell us, that the Iranian people are seeking a regime change when all we're doing is intervening in their affairs. The United States should not be the police force of the world in any case. Period. End of story. This is what Trump promised. Why are we sending our troops as a mercenary force to Saudi Arabia, who, by the way, were accused of doing 9/11? In Debka, we hear that Iran Hezbollah are gearing up for guerrilla rocket attacks on U.S. forces in Iraq and rockets against Israel. Of course, Debka is an Israeli organ. We don't know how true this is. It may be instilling fear in people in the U.S., ramping up the protracted war on terror. And then Iran has blasted Trump for shedding crocodile tears. There is no repentance with Trump. We know that. And President Rouhani signs law that blacklists Pentagon and other subsidiaries. So Iran is taking action. Of course, back in 2015, the UN reports reveal how Israel is coordinating with ISIS inside Syria. This is a known fact. If you Google it on DuckDuckGo, you will see what I'm referring to. Okay, very brief news here on the national front. Trump advisors caught on tape discussing aggressive voter suppression in 2020. That's something you should know about. Then we have Nancy Pelosi referring to the disastrous earthquake in Puerto Rico. which Trump has really not even mentioned. After this weekend's 6.0 earthquake, we continue to pray for our fellow American citizens in Puerto Rico. Trump admin must quickly approve governor's request for a major disaster declaration and stop withholding congressionally appropriated funds to recover from 2017 hurricanes. It's important to know this. Trump allies propose new network to compete with Fox. Oh, talk about a disaster in the making. I mean, can you just imagine a Trump network blurting out his propaganda? Oh, this would be the ultimate fascist organ, the ultimate tool. The U.S. budget deficit running at 11.8% higher this year. That's all we need to know about Trump's promises. And now we turn to Lev Parnas. He has been seen with Donnie Trump Jr., with Mike Huckabee, with Rudy Giuliani, with Donald Trump. We have plenty of pictures of him with Donald Trump. And we just find out now that Lev Parnas has just unloaded a dump truck of evidence on Donald Trump's head. This is very significant. We're going to see where that leads to. The lawyer for Lev Parnas, Joseph Bondi, is now trolling Trump. He's sending Trump pictures of Lev Parnas with Trump. Lev Parnas, Giuliani associate, turns over thousands of pages of documents to the House. This includes phones and WhatsApp encryptions. So, this is going to be very interesting. Joseph Bondi here says, we brought the contents of Lev Parnas' phone today, despite every stumbling block placed in our path since DOJ Southern District, New York, arrested him on 10/9/19. Speaking of obstruction, speaking of fixers for Trump, Barr is definitely one of them, William Barr. Barr is the most feared, criticized, and effective member of Trump's cabinet. Like no attorney general since the Watergate era, he has acted as the president's political sword and shield. Okay, this is part of the narrative that's out there now. We're getting to understand this. We know Trump is a degenerate who surrounds himself with other degenerates. More proof, a Trump campaign advisor pleads guilty to child trafficking. There is no telling how many people Trump has hired who are compromised or compromisable, blackmailable, to push his agenda forward, because without compromising these people, he cannot get them to do his bidding. In a recent interview with Laura Ingraham, Trump says, they say he left troops in Syria. You know what I did? I left troops to take the oil. I took the oil. The only troops I have are taking the oil. They're protecting the oil, Trump said, speaking to the Fox News host. Again, he is completely immune, impervious to the fact that he is committing an international crime here. This is from Citizens for Ethics. They want to charge Trump with bribery, soliciting foreign campaign contributions, coercion of political activity, misappropriation of federal funds, obstruction of Congress, and we should also include in there the selling out of U.S. troops as mercenaries. He sells troops. We have a very good relationship with Saudi Arabia. I said, listen, you're a very rich country. You want more troops? I'm going to send them to you, but you've got to pay us. They're paying us. They've already deposited $1 billion in the bank. Okay, German news magazine rips Trump, calling him unfit and a danger to the world. What else do you need to know? Ron Howard said about Trump, this is a pigromatic. He's a self-serving, dishonest, morally bankrupt egomaniac who doesn't care about anything or anyone but his fame and bank account and is hustling the U.S. This is so true, so true. That's the war cry. That's his legacy. That's Trump's legacy right there. Okay, let's finish off with Zionism. Zionism is not equated to Judaism. Trump just signed an order that um, prohibits any criticism of Israel. That is to say, in other words, that a country is being given carte blanche to do whatever it wants. It would be a little bit like giving Nazi Germany a carte blanche, saying we cannot criticize Germany because it is anti-Aryan. It is anti-civilization because they are the cradle of civilization, the Aryan nation. Okay, I'm being facetious here. Okay, but there's a lot of voices on Twitter who are Jewish voices and are ridiculing the Zionist edicts. This is from Voice of Our Rabbis. He's laughing. He says, so many Jewish anti-Semites in the eyes of the Zionists. They call opposing Israel anti-Semitism, and so they are outraged to meet so many Jewish anti-Semites. There are a lot of Jewish anti-Israel proponents out there. Okay? And the thing that really is remarkable here, let me just move on to the next slide first. The thing that is really remarkable, you have this U.S. Jewish playwright who says if you have any criticism of Israel, you are not allowed to exist. This is where we're headed to. Okay, we're headed to this Noahide set of laws, Talmudic laws. Okay, that prescribe the death of anyone who criticizes Israel. Israel. Now, what does the word Israel really connote? That the word Israel, first of all, for those of you, dim-witted Zionists who don't know anything about history, okay? Because you're not true Jews anyway. You're Khazarians. Uh, the name The word Israel connotes 12 tribes of Israel. The 12 tribes of Israel that came out of Egypt, led by Moses, and settled the promised land. Okay? It does not connote Jews only. It does not connote the tribe of Judah only. It does not connote a nation for the Jews only. Do you understand that? I want to make it perfectly clear. Okay? Because there's 11 other tribes of Israel out there alive and well. I may be one of the tribes of Israel. Okay? For all I know, I could be from the tribe of Joseph. There may be others from the tribe of Reuben. Okay? So don't take on this mantle of extreme supremacy. And if you want to be really technical, uh, just go to the Bible. What happens there? Well, the mantle, the birthright, is passed on to one of the sons of Joseph. So I may very well be an Ephraimite. Okay? I may very well be an Ephraimite. Now, I've got nothing against the Jews. Trust me when I say this. Nothing. I've got Jewish friends. I almost married a Jew. I have people I work out in the gym who are Jewish. The thing is, we don't hate the Jews. And by the way, okay, as a final note, do you really think that the world, especially Iran, who has numerous communities of Jews, numerous communities of Christians, do you think that Iran, Russia, China do not understand the fact that the United States is the dog that's being wagged by the tail? Israel? I mean, really? Do you really think that? Do you really think that they have no notion of that? And that was our news dive for today. If you enjoy this program and feel like contributing, please go to tinyurl.com/get a van. Thank you very much.